Welcome back to FCS Delivered, presented by FedEx Ground. I'm Craig Haley, along with co-host Gary Reasons, back from one of his trips. Gary, happy Thanksgiving, and how you doing this week?
Well, I'm just working away here, Craig. It's been a busy couple of days. You know, the holiday kind of gets in the way of doing some fun stuff here. We like to do all the on-campus visits, but I've completed a great one, and we're going to share about that in segment 2. And we're ready to go here. It's playoff season.
It really is, isn't it? Well, Gary, Seth Biley and Graham Bell are our producers, and of course, you can find FCS Delivered many places on all the podcast platforms, from Spotify to Amazon, Apple, Google, so many. And of course, we hope you're also watching on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Just search for FCS Delivered, and that's a great place to watch the video of Gary's weekly trip, as he just mentioned. Now, Gary, we're going to do something a little different this week. Everybody's busy. We know that it's a holiday week, so we're going to go a little short with FCS Delivered. And we're going to talk a little playoffs. We're certainly going to talk the on-campus visit, but we're just going to go a little bit shorter than usual. I hope that's okay with you.
No problem here. I'm a little weary, Craig, but let's get it going.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, it is playoff season. This past Sunday, the selection committee completed their 2014 pairings. No surprise, South Dakota State is the number 1 seed going in and the defending champion. So let's just talk about the bracket. I mean, if you look at South Dakota State's side of the bracket, they'll be hosting the winner of Gardner-Webb at Mercer, which is the first round game this week. There's also in the first round, Duquesne is at Youngstown State. That winner will be at the number 8 seed Villanova. North Carolina Central has its first all-time playoff bid. They're going to Richmond for a first-round game, and then they'll take on the winner of number 5, the number 5 seed UAlbany. And also on this side of the bracket, Nichols is at Southern Illinois. That winner will take on Idaho in the second round, Idaho being the number 4 seed. Now, Gary, I've written a story this week. 74% of home teams have won playoff matchups on campus sites in the Frisco era, going back to the 2010 playoff, since they've moved the championship game to Frisco. It's just home sweet home when it comes to the playoffs. This first top of the bracket, if you had to pick a road winner, who's going to get it done?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's one team on there that I think, is come around, and it's a real bit of a different team. And it's not one that most people have kind of seen in recent years. And it's the Nichols Colonels. What they have done, Craig, is they have built a team that is a lot more powerful. They're more of a running offense right now. And they've got 2 running backs that are very, very powerful. And I think that they can, perhaps find a way to keep this game close with Southern Illinois and possibly get a road victory, because they can pound the rock. And when you run the football in playoff conditions, it oftentimes plays really well into a team that is emerging. Let's face it, Nichols had a terrible start to the season, wasn't successful, obviously had a couple FBS opponents, but really found themselves, I think, midway through the season, and now they are blossoming. Look out for the Nichols Colonels, Craig.
Yeah, I think this side of the bracket, the only team I don't see winning on the road would be Duquesne at Youngstown State. I think the other 3 have a shot, including Nichols. It's a good one. I'll go North Carolina Central, maybe getting it done at Richmond. Obviously, North Carolina Central was playing to get back to the Celebration Bowl. An upset loss to Howard cost them that. Here they are in the playoffs, a new challenge. They have a terrific quarterback, Davius Richard. They have an experienced teams, a good defense. They're actually 3-0 against CAA teams this year. Of course, Richmond is a CAA, one of the champions at 3. I think North Carolina Central could get it done here on the road as well.
I want to say stuff about the North Carolina Central part there also, because I think that, it's unique that, they lost to a good Howard football team, and where Howard is now going to the Celebration Bowl. But you look at the quality of that North Carolina Central brings to the bracket. 9 wins is strong at the FCS level. There's no doubt about that. And and they're a very good football team, as you talked about. So I think it's unique, and it might be to the betterment of the bracket to have North Carolina Central in there as a potential stronger team from that area. So I think that's a fascinating thing of how this thing kind of came to be, that North Carolina Central was even available to the committee.
Yeah, and the MEAC has not been strong through the playoffs through the years. They're 6-1, 6-31. Their most recent team in the playoffs played Richmond. That was North Carolina A&T in 2016, and lost to Richmond. So this is a different North Carolina Central team. You're right. I think they can get it done.
All right, I'll take a look here at the bottom side of the bracket. Obviously, number 2 there, you've got to look at Montana and where they're at. So, they're going to be in that matchup potentially against with Lafayette and Delaware. They're going to get that winner out of that ball game. I think that is a very evenly matched contest with Delaware and Lafayette. Then you move up the ladder a little bit here. Then you look at South Dakota. South Dakota is the number 3 seed overall, and they're going to get the winner of Sac State and North Dakota. Both of those teams, I think in their own mind, they really had subpar performances, at least not a consistent performance that they would like to have throughout the season. And this one is one of those where, okay, we can right the ship in the playoffs and then make a run. I think Sacramento State and North Dakota are 2 dangerous football teams in this side of the bracket. And then you look down at Montana State, and they're going to get the winner of Drake and North Dakota. I just talked to the Drake guys here, and they're pretty excited about it. We'll share a little bit about that. But North Dakota State is obviously, I think they're playing a little better football now than they had with a couple of their missteps throughout the season. I think that this is going to be a tough game for Drake. They've played there before, played last year in the regular season as the opener for I think against the Bison up there. Did not get that victory, but they felt like they came away with some experience. So that's going to be interesting. Then I like this matchup here, Chattanooga and Austin Peay. That is a great ball game. It's a regional game. That is a game kind of. I think that'll be a full house there, and that's going to have Montana State there for that. They're going to get the winner of that the Chattanooga and Austin Peay game. Furman gets that. Furman's going to get that victor out of that matchup. I can't get that word out today. But I think this bottom side of the bracket, Craig, has some unique games, as I talked about there, that are pretty compelling.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Drake's up against it going to the Fargo Dome, obviously, but these other 3 matchups, certainly you could see a road winner. I mean, this might be the year where there's more road winners than we usually say. If I had to pick one. Maybe Lafayette. I think their defense is really stout. Jamar Curtis running the ball has had a big year. Delaware's slumping a little bit. They've lost twice in the month of November. That could be a surprise. The Patriot League beating a CAA team. That might be an upset, Gary.
It might be. That very well could happen. I like the bottom side of the bracket. Kind of as we've talked about here, are some of the games that could shake some things up, and that's why we watch these games, Craig. It's fun. It's playoff time, and you never know what's coming.
Well, as you look at the big picture, and if you had to give one kind of reaction to the entire bracket, put together by the selection committee, what stands out to you?
Well, for me, I live here in Texas, and I look at this bracket, and I'm really surprised that UIW may not be in this bracket and in this field, because I think they played very good ball throughout the entire season. They had one of the better overall records, as an 8-3 team. That they did well. I'm surprised that they're not in this contest as well, because I think they've got something else to give. And anyway, that's the one team in my mind that I see as one that possibly could have gotten into this thing to really make a little noise. But that's the only thing that I see that is really out there. There's going to be some others that are probably close, Craig, that probably could have gotten some more recognition and a chance to get in there. And unfortunately, in any bracketed situation, you can find the guys that are going to be at the top, the easier ones, which is like the top 8 here. But you got to look at everything in total, and there's always going to be some on the very, very end and hoping to get in, and the disappointed ones that had disappointment all over their face on Sunday morning.
Yeah, I tell you, I agree. There's always going to be those teams where the bubble bursts, and it's unfortunate because there are quality teams not in the field, but it just doesn't work out that way. But I'd say when I look at this bracket, boy, I just think it's definitely set up for the Jackrabbits to get back to Frisco. I mean, they've been good against CAA teams in the playoffs. They're 5-1 all time in the playoffs, and Villanova and UAlbany are on that side as seeds. That'd be a tough one for them to go and win at South Dakota State. Idaho, if they're the other seed there, they'd be outdoors in mid-December. And then I look at that other bottom half of the bracket that you mentioned. I mean, I just look at these teams. I mean, Montana State, Montana, that North Dakota State at Montana State game is for the second round is just phenomenal for a second round game. There's so many good teams. I mean, Austin P was considered, possibly a seed, and they're in the first round. I mean, if you think about it, Gary, South Dakota at number 3 and Furman at number 7, they're almost like a little bit of an afterthought when you talk about having both Montana schools and North Dakota State in that side of the bracket. It's a crazy tough bracket compared to what South Dakota State has.
Yeah, I like the bottom half of the bracket. I think it's a little bit more competitive. As you know, South Dakota State possibly in the top half, Craig, may have a little easier ride down the hill here, so to speak, to kind of get back to Frisco. But you still got to play the games. You still got to compete. You still got to get your guys up for them, and that's in any one of these games. Because if you let up whatsoever, they're just going to take it from you, and they're going to move on and kick you in the dust. And it doesn't matter whichever game it is. That's what playoff football is all about, and it's kind of tough to get to the end, and you have to win, a kind of a gauntlet here. You got to win 1, 2, 3, 4 games just to get to the end here, which is the national championship game in Frisco. So it's not an easy road to get there, and it takes a real strong effort throughout this playoff bracket.
Yeah, and I tell you, the Jackrabbits did earn this number 1 seed, and let me tell you why. The Stats Perform FCS Top 25 poll is a tool again for the selection committee this year. South Dakota State has the most top 25 wins in our Stats Perform poll this year. They're the number 1 seed. They had 6 top 25 wins. Now get this, Gary. The second seed, Montana, and South Dakota, the third seed, they tied for the second most top 25 wins. They had 4 each, and here they are 2-3. Idaho tied for the next most top 25 wins with 3. They're the number 4 seed. Furman also had 3. They're the number 7 seed. So our poll really did well this year for showing who were the best teams and then who were beating each other. So Jackrabbits certainly found their way there with 6 top 25 wins. Let me ask you, Gary, repeat national champion, 25 straight wins going in. Is this the Jackrabbit Invitational?
Well, they have to be the favorite, Craig. Then they have to look at it there. I've had them at the top of my bracket every week here this season, and the poll. So I think that they've held there. They've had some tough games along the way, and they've learned about themselves, and they've overcome a little bit of adversity. But I think that they are a very quality team, and Coach Rogers has got them going. There's not any weaknesses really on that football team, and that's what you like, especially a team that is really focused. And this is their back-to-back championship opportunity, and it's there for the taking. And I think it sets up well for them. Uniquely, Craig. We start talking about our on-campus visits, and I kind of looked at the bracket here and figured out, of our 12 on-campus visits, guess what? I've been to 7 of the bracket finalists here that are in this bracket, and that kind of gives me a little bit of a different look at this sometimes when I know a little bit more about teams, because you go and you meet and greet the coaches and the players, and you talk about these things, and you see how these players prepare, and you see how the coaches prepare, and how they go about their practices. It's fun to see, and we're able to go get up close to them. And this has been very unique for me this season to go out and be on campus and go to practice and go talk to these guys and be a part of what's going on there. And so I'm going to be watching through a completely different lens than really anybody in the country, I think, because I've gone and I've seen a lot of these teams, and it's going to be very pleasurable for me to focus on these playoffs.
Well, throw in Howard going to Celebration Bowl, because I know you went there. That's 8 out of 12 postseason teams. I think next year some of these schools might be writing you saying, Gary, you need to come this week.
Got to come here. It's a good luck charm to have FCS on campus, and we'll take all the different gratis that you want to give to us to kind of lure us there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, Gary, we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side, we're gonna answer that age-old FCS question: where's Gary? With our FedEx Ground FCS on-campus visit. We'll be right back with more FCS Delivered.
Rehearsals for the school play were really coming along.
Bigger smile, Mr. Squirrel?
Until a custodian accidentally threw away the costumes.
Oh no.
Everyone was rattled. Miss Garrity forgot how to play. And the Queen of the Hedgehogs almost quit.
Find a new queen!
But replacement costumes were shipped with FedEx. And with added peace of mind from picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Welcome back to FCS Delivered, presented by FedEx Ground. Gary Reasons and myself, Craig Haley, we're here for our second and final segment of our podcast. Now, before we get into FCS National Awards on campus, I just want to mention, Gary, as you know, you're one of 56 voters in our top 25 poll, and that same voting panel is voting on the season-ending awards. You can see all the finalists on theanalyst.com. You have the Walter Payton Award for Offensive Player of the Year, the Buck Buchanan Award for Defensive Player of the Year, Jerry Rice, the National Freshman of the Year, Eddie Robinson Award for National Coach of the Year. All the finalists, you can find them there. Gary, what did you think of the finalist list?
Well, I looked at the list, Craig, a little bit quickly, but I think we've got a lot of great candidates to go in there across all of the awards. And I know that, being the host of this show for the last several years and seeing all of the quality players that have come out of the FCS, it's just amazing to me that the quality of players that we have, and really, it's now upon us as a voting panel to go through these very, very carefully and pick out these very deserved winners, because when we start talking about these awards, they mean something. It's legacy awards. What we call them is legacy awards. And you start talking about guys like Walter Payton and Buck Buchanan, some of the best of all time, Jerry Rice, Eddie Robinson. Those names mean something in the FCS and really across all levels of football. And this is something that we take very, very seriously on how we want to, get the winners selected here and also celebrate them with what we do in Frisco, Texas. So they'll be all in town with us in the early part of January, just before the FCS National Championship game. We'll put on a nice event, and it'll be on television, so you guys will be able to watch it all on Valley Sports across the country in your area. So we're looking forward to that.
Sure. And with the voting ongoing this week, we probably won't be revealing our picks right now, but next week maybe let's make it a point to discuss who our selections are for the winners, and and give a reason why we're picking them. And there's so many excellent candidates. But talking season-ending awards, that kind of goes back now to week 12 that just passed. The FCS Awards, the FedEx Ground weekly awards, players and team. Who did we have this week, Gary?
Well, Craig, I think we ended on a really high note. This is a really fun opportunity. So we took a team of the week, and it is the Drake Bulldogs. And very, very great game that they had, a close-fought game against Butler, but they came out of that on top. And what happened, Craig? They became 8-0 in conference on the season. So they won the Pioneer Football League outright. So they had 3 wins to end the last season, and they put that 8 wins on top of that. So that's 11 conference wins in a row. Their head coach, Scott Stepsis, has done a great job leading this football team. And it was a great, great opportunity for me to go and meet a very, very happy team at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. It's a place where light traffic on campus right now because some of the classes are out, but it's a beautiful campus in the middle of Des Moines. It's on the north side of town. Now, Des Moines is not a tremendously large community, but it houses this very proud Bulldog football team, and they're already got it on the billboard there. 2023 PFL champions. Just look at that. The facilities, I think, are great. And if you become one of the Bulldog members, you get a chance to walk down this very celebrated Walk of Fame here with all of their legends on display on the side there. And this is going out to their field, which I like this stadium. It is intimate. It is pretty much historical in that regard. They've got a great facility here. And I think that the players really love to play here. They have great crowds. I was talking to some of the folks there about what happens there, and it is exactly what happens. You know, these Bulldogs really have an opportunity, I think, to kind of make some noise. It's going to be tough at North Dakota State against that team. But heck, you know, stranger things have happened. You never really know. I love going there and meeting with these guys and talking to them and just really celebrating the victory that they had. You see this a little bit of the explosion here that they've got defensively. They played a very solid football game against Butler, and offensively, they got enough done on the football field. They put enough points on the board for them to come out of there with a W. So you got to take your hat off to this football team and Coach Steps as far as what they have accomplished and what they potentially can accomplish. And I know this timeline video, I've already shown it to Coach, and he is very appreciative of it. And we talked with him there before we spoke with the team and talked about everything that we're doing, and he really enjoyed that. I like talking to this group, guys, because you know they're very impactful. Now, these guys are a non-scholarship league. Just think about that. And we made this presentation, and here it is.
The National Team of the Week Award to the Drake Bulldogs.
Just look at those guys. They are very, very appreciative of everything that we did. We had a lot of fun here, and they knocked it out of the park. That was great. That was how they ended. So we actually had the couple of different opportunities there with those guys. We took the offense up there and asked them, okay, your best touchdown celebration, who's it going to be? Well, we had a little dance. Then we had the defense come up. We had the same thing. And then you see that knock it out of the park there. He took a big swing, and they got behind that. So, but it was fun. We enjoyed that. Talked to a couple of guys. There'll be some interviews coming up here with Coach and also a couple of the players. Look at that on our YouTube channel. But I tell you, it was a very pleasurable season for me, Craig, to go out and visit 12 campuses on campus and talk to the student athletes, talk to the coaches, talk to the administration of these universities, and be a part. And really, in every community that I went to, I shared one thing. Our goal here is to shine a brighter spotlight on FCS football and talk about the accomplishments and the superlative play that these players put on display every single week. And I tell all of them that they are one of 128 universities that are playing FCS football. You know, there's over 12,000 FCS football players across the country, and they're part of the 1% club is what I call it. 1% of these people never have a chance in the world to play college football. And that takeaway, those experiences are really, really cool. And you could see how Drake was impacted there. And this is all over the country at the FCS level. I'm looking forward to possibly going out to more universities and with this opportunity in a different light. Maybe sometimes in the spring we'll looking at some of those opportunities. But I think in our first year here for our FCS on-campus visits, that this was a real pleasurable thing for me, and I know that the schools really appreciated us being there and bringing some accolade to their student athletes, their campus, and really shining that much brighter spotlight, as I've talked about, on those programs. So it was a great season, and once again, congratulations to Drake, and good luck to those guys against North Dakota State this weekend. And the playoffs are here, and here we go.
Well, congratulations to you too, Gary. I mean, to do 12 weeks of travel like this and to be all over the country like you have, I mean, that's just rewarding and just, wow. And do you feel like it hits them when, during your presentation, like, wow, we're, either an individual as one or like they can say, we're the national team of the week. I mean, do you sense it really hitting them at that moment?
Well, just think of it now, Craig. There's not a lot of accolade on a national media level that happens with the FCS. There is on the FBS level. That's out there all over the place. But there's not. We're the ones championing that and bringing that story. So A, they're very appreciative. B, it's brand new. They're still learning about it. Some of the universities don't have any idea yet that this is occurring. So we're going to try to continue to open up the floodgates here and let all these players and communities in to understand and see this. So share it out there with all your family and friends, and also with all your social media contacts. Hey, push them out to our YouTube channel at FCS Delivered, and you'll be able to see all the content there with our interviews, with our on-campus visits. And our editor has done a great job of pulling things together. And it's really been pleasurable to be able to bring this to a different level. And Craig, it has been pretty unique to be out there every single week and being able to go and make all these travel arrangements. And I never know where I'm going on Saturday of any week until the games are over. You and I collaborate, and we make plans, a daily trip to get out of there, get out on campus on Monday or Tuesday. But it comes and it goes really fast. And it's been something that I think has been really, really fun to add to the storyline of what happens at the FCS.
Well, I know we're going to be wrapping up. Let me just say who the other FedEx Ground FCS Award winners were. Bryant quarterback Zevi Ektis was the National Offensive Player of the Week. The Defensive Player of the Week was Abilene Christian linebacker Kirby Cohealy, who just had a phenomenal game against an SEC team, Texas A&M. The National Special Teams Player of the Week was Matthew Cook, the terrific place kicker from Northern Iowa, second all-time in field goals in FCS history. And then Jack Lane subbed in at quarterback for Idaho, threw 6 touchdowns. Great week for him. And then, of course, you mentioned Drake. So just a great way to end a regular season, especially with this fun trip that you had. And, of course, we want to thank FedEx Ground and Stats Performing for making this all happen. Seth Biley and Graham Bell really making us look good here on our podcast, our producers. Gary, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I hope you get a little more rest, not having to travel this particular week. I hope you enjoy the football too, Gary.
It's going to be great, Craig. And I do want to say a special thank you also, because I had a chance to go out this season almost every week with Nick Reasons. Nick is my son, and he's in the television production and film production world. And he, because of the work stoppage by the writers and the actors, his role was not working. He was unable to work. But I took him from that world and brought him into our world, and he is a former FCS player as well himself on the football college level, and he jumped right in, and he was a very good video assistant. He's got a lot of experience in the industry, and I want to say thank you to Nick Reasons for being a great video assistant this season for us. And I know you've got some things coming up that you're going to be tending to, but that was going to be his last visit of last run of the season there for us, and I really appreciate him being with us. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Craig, and everyone else out there. And we hope it's a good one for everybody.
It should be. You also have the Bayou Classic in addition to the playoff games, the Southern and Grambling down in New Orleans. That's a big party. But yes, our focus will certainly be on the 8 playoff games, and next week we will discuss them. We'll look at round 2, and we'll reveal who our picks are, our selections for the FCS Awards. So we hope everybody enjoys the game, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of FCS Delivered, presented by FedEx Ground. Enjoy the week. Happy Thanksgiving.